streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, Tri-State area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
And J2BK in the world. This is The Box Out here on the One Podcast Network YouTube channel. My name is Kahlil Thomas. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We had some technical difficulties on Friday, so we said we'll wait till we get them fixed. I currently have a cord running from my basement up to my living room, so that's what we do, right? We're gonna thug this out. Some janky ass equipment, but we're gonna get this done because this is what we do. Us leaving Friday might have been a blessing in disguise because on Saturday it was revealed that Damian Lillard finally requested a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers. And listen, it was something that was known that this was going to happen. I think when they drafted Scoot Henderson, number 3rd overall in NBA draft, the writing was on the wall. I think Portland tried to kind of play a new hand by re-signing Jeremy Grant to a big contract on Friday for free agency, and I think that wasn't enough. I think Dame Lillard probably saw that, hey, this ain't working. Like, you guys don't want to compete for a title. You guys are rebuilding. Portland is going to rebuild mode. New owner. I think Chauncey's trying to put his kind of fingerprints on it, and they're like, we're going to start from scratch. And I think deep down, he knew what was going on. Ronald, what's up, man? What's up? Thanks for checking in. I think Dame probably knew that Portland was on that path of, listen, we have to start over. We got to start this all over again. We got to retool. You know, we got Scoot. We got Anthony Simmons. I think the Jeremy Grant deal becomes a tradable deal now because I think now, without Dame Lillard, if they move him, we'll talk about the where and the when and the how, that stuff a little bit later. But I think they know they have a couple of young guys there that they can kind of build around, and they know a Damian Lillard trade is going to net them something big. It's going to net them a good return. So I think they're like, let's get some young guys in here to build around with Anthony Simmons, with Scoot Henderson, and just see what happens from there. I think Jeremy Grant gets traded probably the trading deadline in February, if not next summer. But I think they knew deep down, and let's say Dame and his team knew, we're done here. 11 years done. And you kind of look at the legacy of Dame Lillard in Portland and go, what is it? Right? Dame put out some really big games. I know the series against OKC a couple years ago when he hit the game-winning shot, did the Dame time thing and all that stuff. He had some good he had some moments. He had some moments with Portland, but Portland never really ascended to where you thought Portland would go. And Portland had pretty good teams with Dame Lillard. But Portland's Portland. You know, Portland was always going to be in that 5 through 7 playoff range every season. They were going to be competitive. They were going to be over 500 no matter what. But this is what it was. I think they realized that we've kind of run our course with Dame Lillard. Not to mention, Dame's contract is kind of crazy. I'm going to bring it up in a second. The contract that Dame Lillard has right now, and I think this is the contract I was talking about last week. I couldn't remember who was making what. He has 3 years left in the contract, 4-year player option. In the 4th year of his contract, he's making $62 million. So that would be, I think it's year 36 for him. So he'd be 36 years old, making $62 million, give or take. That's a lot of money. I'm sorry. And at age 36, if you're a guard, unless your name is Chris Paul, and even Chris Paul, you start to see him kind of going on a decline too. There's not a lot of value in a 36-year-old undersized guard. There's none at all, really. So I think that's going to be a huge problem for Portland trying to move him, especially with that money. As I bring in Jason Cordner from Brooklyn, New York. Jay, what's going on, man?
Not much. Happy July 3rd.
Listen, I'm not celebrating 4th of July after they took away my student loan forgiveness. So Forget this country. I'm done. I'm done here. I said we had technical difficulties Friday. I said it was kind of a blessing because Dame requested a trade on Saturday. I'm like, oh shit, that worked out perfectly.
What are
your thoughts on Dame, man? I know. What are your thoughts on Dame and this whole situation right now?
I thought it was long overdue. I felt like he should have requested a trade maybe a year ago. But I understand everything that's going on in Portland now. And it was funny because Bill Simmons, I want to give credit to where credit's due. He brought up something where like a lot of these players are requesting trades, and it seems like the ownership of the organization is kind of like fulfilling that without really much pushback. And I go back to remember with Carmelo when he kind of like gave Denver the heads up. It may have been the last one to like actually fleeced an organization out of assets. And I feel like Dame asked for a trade. Miami did what they did in terms of like free up stuff. Maybe they know something, but at the same time, I feel like that might not be the best package that Portland can get. And at some point, an organization should think about what's best for them, not alone like, Dame been there 12 years, even though people think he hasn't won anything. He's been to one conference, I think one or two conference finals. Portland's always been a top 5-6 seed in the West when they were like in their heyday. So it's not like, they didn't compete for a championship. They just couldn't get over the Golden State, a couple other hump. But other than that, I feel like long overdue. I see Miami, but I see better packages coming down the line. So we'll see what happens. But good for him and good for Portland if they get some good assets, because I feel like they got a lot of young talent already.
Yeah, I think the conversation was obviously saw rumors and conjecture and Woj bombs and shams, but they're saying that he wants to go to Miami. Miami's kind of put together a package that's going to feature Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and then insert other pieces here. A package featuring Hero, Robinson. I mean, Heat draft picks don't mean anything because they're going to be high 20s. So you're essentially just going to stockpile draft picks if you get the draft picks. Can the Heat come up with a better package, or is there another team that can do better? Because I feel like the Heat, if you go player for player, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson is not going to replace Dame Lillard
at all.
So what's their ace in their sleeve for Miami to make this trade? Because the draft picks aren't really shit. What do you do?
I think they're definitely going to have to get a third team involved. And I don't know if you heard Toronto's package. Toronto was pretty much ready to give up the farm for Dame, where they was going to offer Siakam, a couple of draft picks, and a couple other role players, which I thought was a better package. But then for Dame's sake, it'd be like where he just left, where they wouldn't be competing. He'll just be like the new face of Toronto. So I think Miami's going to have to try to get a third team here. It would have helped if they re-signed one of those guys they let go in Strus or Vincent. That might have enticed Portland a little bit, but I don't see this package I don't see this package being enough to get Dame for Miami.
Yeah, so I'm looking at what Miami has. Miami owes OKC a top 14 protected first-round draft pick. The pick becomes unprotected in 2026. They own their own first rounders 28, 29, 30. They could pick swap 27, 28, 29, 30. They have 3 future first-round draft picks, $7 million to send over if they need to, and then the rights to Jaime Jaquez, which I would not trade Jaime Jaquez at all. I think Jaime Jaquez, under Jimmy Butler tutelage, I thought you could see Jimmy Butler 2.0 with a Jaime Jaquez. So I wouldn't trade Jaime Jaquez. So essentially, you would get Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Oladipo's available. Caleb Martin's kind of available. If you want to go Kyle Lowry, he's on the contract for the 2 years. You could probably go with him. But it seems to me, and I mentioned this in the open, that once they picked Scoot Henderson at the draft, I think he knew like they're not serious about this. Because if they weren't, they probably would have traded the third pick. You think? Right,
they would have traded the third pick and got some more help. But like, what do you want the franchise to do? Yeah, I thought Scoot was the best move.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, you're building a team around Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simmons. If you're Portland, that's the plan at this point. It's Scoot and Anthony. I'm looking at the rest of the guys they got. I forgot Nurkic was still around. I forgot Nurkic was a thing. Yeah, this team is void of any real talent. If you want to get technical, it's Simmons, Henderson, and Nurkic when he plays. So we'll see what happens. We talk locally. We got to talk Nets. Are the Nets a possible destination for Dame? Because I feel like the Nets might actually have a better package if you
so too.
kind of want to go to Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. But does it feel like if he goes to Brooklyn, it's kind of like the same situation? Are they the championship team? Not really. Do they have a good roster? Yes, but it'll be enough to compete in the top-heavy Eastern Conference. That's going to be the team. That's going to be it right there. Like if that's what Dame wanted to do. But I do like the Nets package, and we know for draft picks, you can't trust the Nets because that pick could be anywhere from 5 to 15, which is probably what Portland wants anyway.
So, well, if you look at the Nets have Phoenix's unprotected first-round picks 25, 27, 29. You could probably say 27, 29 will be worth their weight for Phoenix. Those draft picks are being really high because that's when Phoenix are going to get dismantled. They own their own first-round draft picks. They have the right to swaps in 28, 29, 30. They have Dallas's first-round pick unprotected 2029. They have Philly's first-round draft pick that's not really protected to top 8. Draft pick wise, I feel like you want to go Brooklyn besides Miami because I feel like Brooklyn's picks might be the better picks. Plus, you got Dinwiddie, who's an expiring free agent. You got Nick Claxton, if you want to move him, expiring. Royce O'Neal, expiring. Patty Mills, expiring. Edmund Sumner. They have all these expiring contracts. And if you're Portland and you're kind of tearing it all down, you want these expiring draft picks. Think Brooklyn when they came to Brooklyn with Atkinson after the whole Garnett Pierce debacle, they broke it down and just took out expiring and said, we'll take your shitty contracts. Brooklyn might be the best option right now.
I agree. But it's all about what Dame wants. But like this goes back to what I said earlier about Carmelo. Like at some point, these organizations got to do what's best for them. And and maybe that Nets package is a little bit better than what Miami could offer.
Yeah, I'm curious. Plus, we always forget this thing too. Teams have the right to Dame Lillard. So Dame might want to get out. But Portland will be like, we're making a deal not based on where you want to go, based on what we're going to get back. Because you're gone. Once you're gone, you're gone. And we know you left Portland. We know how you want it here. But once you're gone, you're gone. So we're going to do what's best for us. I feel like that's never the case. I feel like I think Daryl Morey with the Sixers kind of figured that out and said, we're doing what we want to do because we need to get the best value for Ben Simmons. And he held out and got the best possible trade for Ben Simmons. Why don't more teams take that route and go, okay, you want to get traded? Cool. But we're not going to accommodate, we're not going to give you what you will trade. We're going to sit here and coddle you either.
I don't get it either. I don't get it. And remember, he has no trade clause. And so it's not like he controls where he wants to go. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all kind of shakes out. I do want to talk Knicks because they made some moves over the weekend. Once again, bad technical, and then all this shit happens when we get off. So it's great. Knicks trade Obi Toppin to Indiana for 2 second-round draft picks. They also signed the Italian assassin Dante DiVincenzo for 4 years, $90 million. Listen, they don't have a lot of money. I think DiVincenzo is probably the only move they have to make because that's all they could make.
So they can make it.
Are they better, worse, or the same from when the season ended last year against Miami?
Oh man, it's somewhere teetering between better and the same. Only because I think DiVincenzo brings another defender, and a shooter that they definitely need. Obi, I feel bad for Obi because I feel like all the Knicks fans loved him. However, he was not getting enough playing time. And that fight with him and Tibbs clearly was probably his last. That was probably his okay, I'm fed up with my playing time situation. So to me, I think the Knicks did him a favor. Ironically, it sucks that the Knicks didn't draft Tyler, and now look where he's playing with Obi, and I think that's just hilarious. But I think for Obi's sake, it's better for him to get off, go somewhere else, go somewhere like Indiana, where he's gonna have more time to like.
Yeah,
really,
I know.
Really try to show his worth. But I feel like the Knicks. I feel like the Knicks are just patiently waiting for that big fish to fall in the lap.
Yeah, I think we need to get off the big fish thing. I think that's dead. I think it's over.
Think so?
The Knicks is not the destination. We talk about this every offseason. I think every offseason we have this conversation. Mm-hmm. The Knicks is not that place that people want to go, but I'm going to go play the Garden. I'm going to play for the Knicks where Walt Frazier played. That's not a thing anymore. No one gives a shit about the history of the Knicks or the Garden. If they're really waiting for a top free agent to come to New York, they need to stop and focus on what they had. They had Obi Toppin, who honestly, him moving to Indiana was a blessing for him because he wasn't going to get the playing time he should have gotten in New York because Julius Randle plays 45 minutes a game and rests for 2-minute spurts. He's going to go to Indiana
every game.
And he's going to ball out in Indiana. Every game, I think 25, 30 minutes a game. He's going to ball out. I think this is going to be that regret that Leon Rose and Tibbs, who hates him apparently, is going to have. They tried to make Obi Toppin into a 3. He's not a 3. He's a power forward. He's a hard charging 4. You could have fit him in. You could have put him at center a couple times and went small. You put Randall at center and went small. You could have made this work. Tibbs just didn't like Obi Toppin. That's what it came down to. Tibbs had an issue with Obi Toppin. Now Obi's going to ball out. DiVincenzo's great, but DiVincenzo's a 2. Mm-hmm. RJ, I guess, is going to play the 3 again. So I think that might take some pressure off RJ not having to play the shooting guard position. DiVincenzo does not make them a better team. It seems like the same exact team. You're just moving parts in and out. If you move Obi to get DiVincenzo, who's going to come off the bench probably, give you 20 minutes. He hit 40% from 3, so great. We had another shooter, but we got Evan Fournier too, who sits on the bench the whole goddamn year. So
that's the moving part. Like, what are they doing with Fournier? Or can they do it for him?
He's expiring, so you can probably move him. Like, he's an expiring contract. He's a wanted commodity in basketball. Expiring contracts are necessary. But you got to package him with other stuff. I thought to move Fournier, those 4 first-round draft picks you got next year, you got to move him in with him. So in order to move off of Fournier, you got to get rid of one of those draft picks. Now, my question to you is, what do you get for a Fournier and a first-round draft pick? That of the 4 they have, 3 are all protected. So you might even see all 40 draft picks next year. What do you get for that?
That's the question. And I feel like, what do you need? Do you need another big? Like, exactly. So now you got to look down the line. Who are you going to deal with here?
Yeah, I don't really see because the rumor was they were willing to move off for Isaiah Hartenstein, who played really big minutes last year because Mitchell Robinson gets hurt every single year no matter what. Mitchell Robinson stubs his toe every 2 days. So you move off of him, you have to replace one of the big, but you need a big that can step out because that's the NBA now. Mitch is not that guy. You would want a backup center who can step out hit a 3. Are you going to get a good one for Fournier, a protected first, and Isaiah Hartenstein? Probably not. I just feel like there was so much conversation about James Harden coming here. And my first thought when you and I were talking on Saturday about Dame was like, we should trade heaven and earth to get Dame Lillard. Mm-hmm. And I thought again, after I texted you and said, that shit's never going to happen. Why am I putting myself in this position to think something so silly and so stupid that we're going to make that move? It's just, I think we're just stuck at where we are. We're a 6 or a 7 seed. And that's it. That's all we're going to be next year.
Not aiming for the 5th seed again?
Nope.
Oh, damn.
Nope. I think we lucked out the 5th because those teams above us sucked the last couple weeks of season. We got in the 5th. We're 6 or 7. And Randall, listen, I know he's all NBA. I get it. He can drop buckets. But if they don't move off of Julius Randle next summer, something's wrong. Because obviously he's not good for the team. You can score 30 points a game and grab 12 rebounds a game. he is a piece of shit otherwise, and I can care less about him.
Yeah, he doesn't move the needle in terms of
Has to
leadership.
get sued by Julius Randle.
And he seems a little salty that it's Brunson's team now.
That's it. Well, that's the thing. Leadership wise, you could agree. Jalen Brunson's the leader of that team now. Correct?
Oh, it's his team now. It's his team.
Okay. All right. So you're right. He's salty about that. But I'm sorry. This is me thinking, right? As a Knicks fan, Willis Reed was the leader of the team. Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, big dudes, right? Mm-hmm. In my head, and this is probably me, 1994, me, the leader of your team or one of the leaders of the team should be a big man, right? You want a 4 or 5. It was 1. He's like the alpha. Brunson came and said, "No, this is my team. Now I got this," and he's pissy about it. You're winning games. You're all NBA player, and you're pissy because somebody came in and saw there was a void in leadership on your team and said, "I got you. I got it. Lean up. Go on my back. I got it."
How do you think
you couldn't do it yourself?
How do you think he must feel knowing that they brought all of Brunson's bulls in here?
Well, I mean, it's DiVincenzo Hart. It's Villanova all over again. It's Villanova thing.
Like I feel like behind the scenes, they're like they're trying to get a
perfect example.
Yeah, he is toxic. Yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm.
He is toxic.
So that's where we are right now. It's a shitty situation.
About all of this? What sucks about all this?
Here we go.
Like,
straight up. I think we can do that. I think we can do that.
Still had Obi,
I think it's possible.
If we still had Obi, I would have been like, "Oh yeah, let's do that."
Yeah, I'm just over. I'm just over him completely at this point. I'm just done with him. So we talk about the Nets a little bit when we talk about Dame Lillard. And listen, Patty Mills, he's being traded to Houston. Joe Harris being traded to Detroit. They re-signed Cam Johnson to a big contract. I'm of the mind where, once again, just like the Nets are kind of the same team you saw at the end of the year too. You got some young pieces. They lost Seth Curry. Seth Curry went back to Dallas as free agency, so you lost a leader, lost an older player. I don't know what the hell's going on with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is kind of here, just the body at this point. What are your thoughts on the Nets right now and their outlook so far? Obviously, things can be done, but what do you think about the Nets at this point?
I feel like there's still work to be done, and they could. It's all about like what's the big signing they're trying to do here. They have I like what they did with bringing back Cam and Joe Harris. Like you said, he was a walking man. Once they got those guys, they didn't really need him. I don't think they're not re-signing Seth, right? Seth Curry, he's not coming back. And I think what they should do is try, like you said earlier,
he's
try to get
Dallas
Dame.
now.
He's in Dallas now, so now they need to try to figure out who's going to be the floor general here. Let's try to get a Dame, because I feel like that's what they're really missing. They have great parts. They just need like a floor general to orchestrate everything. So I think they should go all out for Dame, and probably they will. For some reason, the Nets always land somebody. After Kidd, they still got a Vince Carter. We saw what happened during the Lopez years, and then we saw what happened with KD, and then we saw with Kyrie. They always land somebody. They always land a big fish. So I have hope that the Nets will definitely land another big fish before it's all said and done.
I'm reading this ESPN article right now about the Dame Lillard thing, and I want to go back to that because a dark horse team that they say is San Antonio. I don't see it. I don't see Dame agreeing to that deal. But the assets San Antonio has, the assets they have, they own their own first-round draft picks for the next 6 years. They have a pick swap for 6 years. They own Charlotte's 2024 first-round pick. Toronto's 2024 pick, Atlanta's 2025 unprotected, Chicago's 2025, Atlanta's 2027 unprotected. They could pick swap with Boston 2028. They have 17 second-round draft picks, and they have cap space. And they have, and I want to get this right, 5 expiring contracts on their roster right now.
It's like they picked the perfect time
the
to
teams
tank
we
for
talked
real.
about. Of the teams we talked about, Brooklyn, Miami, San Antonio had the best damn trade package possible. Like San Antonio might have exactly what they want.
Oh man.
What Portland wants.
But like the Knicks,
No,
like
is that
like
how
the
unlikely
Knicks,
is that?
I think San Antonio's holding out that draft capital for somebody else. Traditionally wise, someone they compare with Wham that's younger. So I think Dame, while he fits the criteria, I think they will trade that for they'll trade those assets for let's say a Luka becomes available, or hell, even Giannis become available. Then they'll put the chips to the front. So I think San Antonio, being the patient organization that they are, I don't think Dame's the guy they want to push their chips to the middle at. I think they're looking for someone younger to pair with their the young superstar, the young future superstar.
Yeah, I can see that. Real quick, Xavier Points jumped in and said, "I want to see if I get this up there."
What's up, Ben Simmons? Oh Lord,
what's Ben Simmons? I think that's the perfect question right now. What is a Ben Simmons? Because we don't really know what a Ben Simmons is, besides a gigantic waste of money. So we left on Friday. We talked about a couple of the free agent signings on Friday. I want to run through those one more time. The Jeremy Grant Portland signing becomes a huge deal now because if Dame leaves, Jeremy Grant's probably out the door. He signed his 5-year, $160 contract on Friday. Is Jeremy Grant next up? Because I feel like now you don't really need him. I think they kind of signed him as like a last resort. Say, hey, we're trying. Like we want to help you out, Dame, but this is what we got. Does Jeremy Grant get moved at the trade deadline this season, or is this the next summer thing when people are like, okay, sell him, 20 cents on the dollar at that point?
Probably next summer. I don't think they're gonna move him right away. Considering they just gave him that a contract extension, I don't see it. Not right now. Maybe next summer, depending how the situation in Portland looks.
Well, I mean, think about Jeremy Grant just heat checking the whole season in Portland. It's gonna be him and Anthony Simmons on that team. Jeremy Grant gonna go for about 25-12 this year because it's gonna be just him. And they're like, hey, go out there and just ball out. And he's like, okay. And he's gonna go out there and just drop crazy games, 40, 50-point games, just because it's Portland. That's all they got. You got Jeremy Grant and Simmons. That's it.
That's it. Yep. Well, Dame might come back. They might pull a KD here and play it out and then get traded at the trade deadline too. I can see that happening.
Yeah, that could happen, I think. I could totally see that. Xavier actually mentions what I'm going to bring up now about Fred VanVleet, his contract, 3 years, $128.5 million. He goes to Houston. I think everyone knew it was Houston's game with VanVleet. Houston was going to get Fred VanVleet no matter what. 2 questions. Way too much money. And how good is Houston now with VanVleet? And then we'll talk about Dillon Brooks later, who just started with them too.
Definitely too much money. Definitely a lot of money considering no state tax. I think Houston, it's a case of we talked San Antonio. They had the cap space. They didn't want to use it. Houston had the cap space, and clearly they were out here tricking like they're going to a strip club or something. So they definitely spend that money. I think now they went from a lottery team to a play-in contender. So I think that's my ceiling for Houston right now, with a great coach, a great point guard, the sum of a lot of parts. I think now they went from a lottery team to that 9, 10, 11 spot in the West where they're playing for a playing spot.
Dylan Brooks, he goes to Houston as well. Listen, the new CBA tells teams you have to spend. There's a floor. You have to spend this much money. And I think teams like we got to spend. Houston had a ton of cap space. I think like $60 million of cap space. They had to spend it. So, these guys are overpaid, but the NBA is a different game now. Where I think this should be the case in Major League Baseball too. Major League Baseball is the same thing. They don't have a cap. They have a luxury tax. Right. But I think Major League Baseball needs to go and say, okay, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, I'm trying to think of another crappy team that spends some money. Minnesota, although they got spend some money. Detroit, that was the other one. Yeah. You need to spend X amount of money no matter what, because you're getting a lot of extra money from other teams, like from the Yankees and the Mets and the Dodgers. You're getting this revenue sharing, and you're not really spending it. You just put it in your pocket. I think the NBA figured out, okay, this play-in tournament's a good thing, right? And we saw it this year. You saw the Lakers get out of it, and you saw Miami get out of it. Once you're in the play-in and you get into the actual playoffs, anything can happen. So the NBA is like, we could probably get more teams involved in that mix and make that last week and a half of the season more interesting because more teams will be in the mix to get in the play-in. And once you're in the play-in and you kind of make a run, shit can happen in the playoffs. You never know. Right? You play in a 7-game series, you could win 4 from a team randomly. So I think that's why they did it, kind of. Kyrie stays in Dallas, 3 years, 126. Didn't work last year, ain't gonna work this year. I think we talked about this on Friday. I give Kyrie until March before he does something stupid and fucks all this up. What do you think?
March sounds like a great timetable for this. I'm gonna go one better. I think Luka's gonna be the one to be like, hey, this is not working. Something's got to give. It's either me or him. I think that'll happen by March.
Yeah, Dallas, I'm going to go through it in a second. Dallas really didn't do anything to make themselves better. They added Seth Curry, so I think that's big. They need more shooting, but their big issue, I think, was size. They don't have any size. A lot of their guards and threes are small. Tim Hardaway Jr. plays a 2 and a 3. He's like 6'4". Size is the issue, and they got 2 young centers who can, who are going to be good eventually. But they're not going to be good yet. I think Dallas, once again, is going to be fighting for a 5 or 6. And if Luka gets hurt and is out for an extended period of time, he'll get an 8 and maybe a play-in team, tops.
So it's pretty much back to where they were last year. Playing like, oh, damn, we don't want to give the Knicks our pick. So that's pretty much
Same
Dallas. Okay. That makes sense.
I was waiting for Bruce. Tonight. DiVincenzo going to be the new 48 for the Knicks. I was waiting for Bruce.
Productive Fournier, yeah. He's going to play some defense.
Yes. I'm about to say that. A Fournier who plays defense. That's what we need right now. We need some more defense on this goddamn team.
Oh, we needed.
In other news, the Lakers, and I'm glad we got the Lakers 34 minutes into this. Everybody has been on the Lakers' ass. Oh, Lakers won free agency. They re-signed Hachimura, and they re-signed Reeves, and they got who else they get? D'Angelo. They re-signed D'Angelo Russell. They got Gabe Vincent, and blah 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 blah. They did not get any better for anything they did in free agency. I don't care what Kendrick Perkins had to say. I don't care what Woj says. I don't care what anyone Zach Lowe. The Lakers are the same exact team from last year. And yes, they made it to the conference finals. LeBron willed himself to a conference finals last year. They still got old ass LeBron. They still got AD, who's going to miss 20 games this year because he's going to do something.
That's what he does.
Reeves got broke off because he had a good season. D'Angelo Russell's a good player. Gabe Vincent's a backup point guard that you're just high on. Hachimura was good because no one cared about Rui Hachimura at all. He was able to get his points because no one was focused on him in LA. People were looking at other players, and Hachimura just had to be in the corner standing around shooting threes.
Yep.
Tell me I'm wrong that the Lakers got a lot better over the weekend because I just don't see it.
I'm on the fence here. I think they did get better because they brought back their core that was good towards the second half of the season. So now it's more reps. Now you get a whole season together. I think they're not going to be a playing team again. I think now they're in the middle of the pack in the Western Conference, anywhere between 4 and 5, 4 to 6. They're in that range in the West. I'm just surprised that no one tried to do something to the Lakers, like harm them in terms of like why no one offered Reeves a contract just to get the Lakers to spend a little bit more money here. Like that's the stuff I don't understand. I'm surprised there wasn't a market for Reeves. I knew there wasn't going to be a market for D'Angelo. Everyone else, like you said, they got Vincent, but Vincent was the backup. Are you starting Vincent over D'Angelo? We'll see what happens with that. And can you rely on AD to play 50 games next season? You don't know. LeBron's only getting a year older. You don't know what's going to happen with him. Even though it is his last, I think it's his last year in LA. He'll probably follow his son wherever he goes the following year.
Yeah,
but
same.
So I think this is them like not really reinventing the wheel here, but like, hey, this core kind of wielded themselves in the second half. Let's see what they do with a full season. So for the Lakers, it was smart not to really not do anything too crazy, but I thought Reeves they got on a great deal. I thought Reeves was definitely a great deal for them. I forgot about Cam.
That was another signing. I was big on Cam Reddish when we traded for him, but when we traded for him, I had to think back because I'm like, wait, so we got Cam Reddish Knicks when we got Cam Reddish, traded for Cam Reddish. Do you remember who was in that trade for Cam Reddish to Atlanta? Who did we trade to Atlanta for Cam Reddish?
It was Knox. Kevin Knox.
Yes. So that popped in my head. I'm like, we traded Kevin Knox for Cam. Atlanta's like, take Cam Reddish. Who do you want to give us? And we're like, we'll give you Kevin Knox. Okay. So that played in my head like, okay, maybe I missed something because I was huge. I was elated when we got Cam Reddish. I'm like, oh, Cam Reddish is gonna ball out. Oh, I gotta get Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish should be a good player. Work well. Now, obviously, Tibbs hated him. Still don't know why. But even when he played, it was like, yeah, he's nice. He's all right. He's like not great.
Right.
Like everyone made such a big deal. Oh, Cam Reddish. I'm like, Cam Reddish has done nothing in 3 years. 5 if you count his Atlanta time. So I'm like, you kind of like look at this team, the Laker team. I'm looking at the roster right now. You got AD, you got LeBron, Reeves, Hachimura, Russell, Gabe Vincent, Jarrett Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes. They signed Jackson Hayes, a big man who can't move. Reddish, Torian Prince. Talking about Torian Prince in the chat right now. Max Christie, Cole Swider. That's your roster. That's a play-in. That's a play-in roster. I'm sorry. That is a play-in roster, just like last year. Same exact team.
Well, it all depends how LeBron and AD, how they handle themselves and how healthy they are. Because they can't miss a lot of games, or else, like you said, this team is just not going anywhere fast.
You already know, AD's missing at least 20.
Oh, you're being gracious.
He's going to miss 20.
I'm thinking 35.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, Bruce. Okay, so Bruce, I'll put this up because Jackson Hayes is another domestic violence away from not playing. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I mean, he's right. I don't know. I just don't see it. We talk about DeAndre Jordan getting his contract. DeAndre Jordan's still getting checks. I have nothing but respect for DeAndre Jordan. Still $3 million 1 year. He's still making millions, just not doing shit. Udonis Haslam. Just keep it moving. Just keep it moving. Mm-hmm. God bless him. I can't fault him for that. I didn't want to go here yet, but I have to because I know Bruce is just waiting to shit on us. On Thursday night, the Liberty played the Vegas Aces in Vegas and got the break speed off of them by 17 points. Liberty bounced back last night. They played in Seattle. They beat Seattle. Breanna Stewart, great game. It is Seattle. Before Bruce said some crazy shit, it is Seattle. I'm not saying the Liberty is winning the WNBA title because they beat Seattle last night. I'm not saying that. However, I'm going to ask you a question, Jay, because you cover them often. You go to mostly all their games when they're at Barclays. Based on what you watched on Thursday, because we didn't get to this on Friday because we had technical issues, are the Liberty anywhere close to the Aces? Because I assumed Aces had the edge, but Liberty was still kind of close. They don't look anywhere near where the Vegas Aces is right now.
The Aces are clicking on all cylinders with their 15-1.
Mm-hmm.
I think, no one's catching them right now. Not to say that the Liberty can catch them down the road, but as of right now, they're not in the same ballpark with them. Not at all.
Yeah, it was weird to see, and obviously, Bruce is gonna jump on me for this, so I'm waiting for it. The Aces been together a lot longer, right?
Exactly.
Liberty been together, and I'm gonna look at the record because I'm gonna say Liberty right now, the 11-4. They've been together 15 games. They're still figuring this shit out, right? It is what it is. You got Stewie, you got Vandersloot, John Cole Jones is there. They're trying to figure out how to integrate Sabrina Ionescu and how to integrate Benijah Laney and get the bench off. They're trying to figure this out. There's still a lot of moving parts. Vegas has been together for a couple of years. The base, right? The Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum. Candace Parker is an addition, but Candace Parker just kind of floats and fits in anywhere she goes, whether it be on the court or on TNT. She just fits in anywhere. Do we have to give the Liberty a little bit of grace right now?
Yeah.
They're only 15 games into this experiment of a super team. The Miami Heat with Bosh, James, and Wade wasn't good right away. It took a minute. Should we give the Liberty some time to kind of gel, and let's run this back in, August, September and see what happens?
Absolutely. And that game was in Vegas. Get them a little time; they'll be fine. I think. I say we'll run this back in September, and then we'll see. But I think the Liberty, and one thing I'll give them, they bounced back very well after a loss. They haven't had consecutive losses all season yet, and that was a humbling experience for them. And I think they needed that going forward, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm watching them, right? I'm watching them. Obviously, my side hustle is I work for the Yes Network. I watch a lot of Liberty games. I cover them. So I think you and I might be the two biggest Liberty people because we watch them on the regular. So we know what the issues are, how they play. So I'm going to give them a couple more weeks, right? Even when they win, it's not pretty. Seattle almost came back at them last night. Jewel Lloyd almost came back and beat them single-handedly. So there's some issues. I think defensively, the Liberty is kind of stagnant a little bit. I think sometimes they get lax. There was a play last night where Brandon Stewart got a steal went on fast break, would be behind her back, passes to Vandersloot for an easy layup. There's moments like that, and there's moments where they just don't play defense ever. So it's like we don't know. Shout out to my dad, John. Takes time to gel. Hey, Pop, what's up? Takes time to gel. Takes a minute. Vegas got time. Liberty don't. So I'm gonna put it there. The other news that came out was about the Chicago Sky head coach, general manager James Wade. He's leaving the team to be an assistant coach with Toronto. Now, honestly, I get it. Right? You get an NBA assistant coaching opportunity, you take that job. I'm not going to fault the guy for taking that job. But you're telling me that Toronto wouldn't let you finish the season out? You're literally middle of the season, middle of the WNBA season, and you're going to leave mid-season for your team. And they're not lighting the world on fire. I'm not saying they're going to win the WNBA championship, but this is kind of a bad look for him. And if he was forced to leave early, a bad look for Toronto as well.
I agree. But I was surprised, why would you leave now when training camp is not opening for months? And to me, it seems odd that he would jettison so fast, so abruptly.
And look, they're sixth in the league. They're in that playoff conversation. They're in the playoffs right now. If the season ends right now, they'll be in the playoffs. So it makes no sense that you say, "Hey, I took this job. I want to finish the year out," and that could be your rallying cry for this season. This is my last year here. I got a new job. let's just kill it and see what happens. You just left middle of the season. That's some bullshit. Like, you can't do that. Like, that's wrong. And I feel bad for the players because the players, like, he's the head coach, and two, he's the GM. So he brought these players in. He brought these players in to play for him, and he's just kind of ducking. I compare it to when Nick Saban coached the Dolphins. He got the job at was it Alabama? Yeah, Alabama. And he left midseason. Like 4 games in, he's like, I'm out. See ya. Same shit. Like it's just a bad look. I don't like it when coaches do this to their players, especially in the pro. Especially pros, not so much. But I think for this league, and it's so different in this league because of what it represents, and because it's still a young league. It's 25 years. We get it. It's a younger league, so there's almost this camaraderie that goes with the players and the coaches and the GMs in this league, because if you're in this league, you want to be in the league. If you want to work for WNBA, you want to work for WNBA. And I feel like James Wade just looks like an asshole at this point, leaving when he leaves.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. But you don't see this like college football. Like, how many times has a coach left the program or announced that he's leaving, but he still plays out his, the bowl games or whatever. Same thing for like professional football. Like, coaches leave, get promoted all the time, but they still coach up until the last game of the season. So for him to do this, where you have plenty of time, training camps are open until late September, early October at best. Yeah, you could have done this. That was bad. That's a bad look.
So looking at the rosters, like we said, Chicago's 6th in the league at 8-9. Obviously, the Aces 15-1. They're leading the way. Liberty 11-4. They're second. Third, Connecticut 12-5. It's been 1, 2, 3 like that for the whole season. Washington 9-7. Washington has an issue because Elena Deladon, she got hurt her last game, so she's going to be out a couple games. So that's going to kill Washington. Dallas is probably going to leapfrog them a little bit. Atlanta's kind of still lurking, and Minnesota, who I thought would be on the kind of the tail end, they're right behind them as well. They announced the WNBA All-Star teams as well. Listen, I'm hyped for this game. I know it's like no one cares. No one cares about it. Oh, okay. I'm hyped to see this. I'm hyped to see the collection of players they got. So you have Aaliyah Boston, Chelsea Gray, Brittany Griner, Jewel Lloyd, Erika Amague, Nneka Amwale, I keep these names. Sabale from the Wings, Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson, Jackie Young. The reserves are going to be DeWanna Bonner, Collier, Copper, Deladon if she plays, Alicia Gray, Ionescu made the team again. Vandersloot made it, which I was like,
close.
Based on play. Yeah. Alyssa Thomas, Kelsey Plum, who's always going to make it, Cheyenne Parker from the Dream, Kelsey Mitchell from the Fever. So they're doing it the same way like they've done it in the NBA. 2 players are the captains. Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart are the captains. They're going to draft their teams like the NBA does, the same thing. And listen, Saturday, 5:30 p.m., July 15th. So it's going to be on TV. It's going to be ABC. It should be a good game. Bruce is not going to watch it. He said terrible selections. And, of course, he mentioned Vandersloot. I was waiting for the Vandersloot mention. Bruce is predictable. So predictable. It's a 5:30 game. Should this game...
This game should have been 7:30
at night?
Yeah, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. They gotta for someone who goes to Liberty games at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, they need to do something about this time thing. Like, they gotta hammer the time schedule a little bit better. You're not competing with nothing.
There's still WNBA game. Go ahead.
No, they're not really competing with anybody. So the game should have been later on the night to showcase your talent. But go ahead.
This WNBA games that start at like 11 o'clock in the morning during the weeks because they have like those camps. I think Dallas does a lot of them. I think Washington does a lot. There was like 11 a.m. games on a Wednesday because we can get the camps in for those games. That's great. I appreciate that. But if you're gonna get big, put them on prime time and just see what the numbers are. You get the NCAA Women's Final Four. They drew 2-3 million people. You can get 2 million viewers on a WNBA game on TV on ABC on a Saturday night. I would put money down that they can get at least 2 million people to watch an All-Star game in prime time at ABC right now.
Whew, I don't know about 2 million, but
I
we'll
sound
see.
crazy doing it, but I think it can be done.
We'll see.
Damn. Okay, so 8 p.m. Saturday night prime time. What do you think it can get? Number wise.
Summertime. There's no fight night on UFC, no boxing. Maybe close to mil.
Close?
Because I know
Not a mil, but close.
They're close to mil. Because the American public, it's summertime, they want to be outside.
Or even, I mean,
you know what? It depends who's playing. Because, like, if the Liberty are playing on Saturday or Sunday in prime time, I think they'll still get the crowd. Because, like I told you, now they're opening up the upper barrels of Barkley. Before beginning of the season, they weren't open, but now they're open. And I think they'll still get a crowd. It depends on certain cities. Chicago will get that crowd. Vegas will get that crowd. LA will get that crowd. I don't know about Phoenix. But I'm gonna stay by close to a mil. I think that's a very, very valuable number. They'll do better than Collision, and they'll do better than they'll do better than AEW Collision.
Don't say that. Why would you? Okay, first of all, in AEW's defense, okay, God damn it, it is a Saturday night show on cable. Nobody's home.
Terrible.
Nobody's home. That was the worst. I get it because TNT's like, well, it's either a live wrestling show or, it's a rerun of Fast Five. That's what we show on Saturday night.
I'll take the Fast Five rerun.
No, and Fast Five is a shitty movie too. I would never take that, ever. So there's still conversation, and we're going to shift to college basketball to kind of end the show. NCAA tournament expansion is the conversation again. So right now, we're at 68 teams. We got the first four, and the final four, blah, blah, blah. The conversation now is expanding it out. No one has a number. Mm-hmm. No one doesn't have an exact number of what the expansion is going to be. They're saying 72. They're saying 96. Right. There's 300 programs in Division I college basketball, right? It's to a point where you got to make the regular season and the conference tournaments mean something. Now, we see the college football playoff, they're expanding. So that's next in the pipeline. In our lifetime, Jason Cordner, do you see the NCAA tournament expanding? Because I don't. I think they're going to stay with 68.
Oh, there's money to be made. They're going to expand. But my thing is, it's a talent pool worthy of expansion. That's where we're going to have, that's why I see it being problematic. I don't think you need to expand, but I feel like I take that back. You know what? I don't see the need to expand, but they're going to look to expand. I don't know why. And I kind of like those Tuesday, Wednesday matchups, first in, out. I like that.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I like they maybe expand that a little bit, but then it goes back to what you said about conference tournaments, like how, we got to put more emphasis on that. No,
I think you do. I feel like the teams that are left out, when you look at the bracketology, when the brackets come out and they go to last four out, those four teams usually should be it. Right? It's so much like I think a lot of those conference tournament teams get screwed over because the team who won their conference shouldn't have won the conference, but the team who was like 32-1 in conference made the tournament because they had to make tournament, so they stole a spot. I feel like that happens more often than not. They get expanded. I would do 4 more. I would do 72, but that's it. I feel like those last 4 over the last couple of years, those are the teams that should be in 2. I feel like you're not seeing this last 4. Oh, they have no business going in. They were just there, right? So like a team like, and I'm going to do college baseball for a second, Rutgers baseball. They should have gotten a tournament 2 years in a row, and they got their last 4 out last year and this year. Teams like that who deserve to get in should get in. I think you're going to see more of those last 4 teams make a run. College baseball, you're seeing. College baseball, last 4 teams in, a lot of those teams make it to the College World Series somehow. So I feel like you could expand it. I think you hit 96. I think you jumped the gun, and you're just making it a shitty tournament with just okay teams and like 5 good teams who could possibly win it all. But NCAA money, NC money, like Bruce said in chat, this is what we're dealing with. They want to make the money. If they see an opportunity to make more profit, more sponsorship money, they'll do it. Which leads to the last story tonight. NCAA is complaining about NILs again and saying that needs to be rules, and how California rules and Texas rules are going to make everything terrible and make it different and make it more like a business, even though NCAA makes like billions of dollars a year. Is the NCAA going to get their way and I don't want to say stop NILs, but are they going to get their way in trying to find a way to circumvent NILs to kind of stop it and put these kind of archaic rules back on these athletes that you can't really make money because you're under our umbrella and we're giving you the platform to perform?
I think they'll try to, but then at that point, if you're good enough to like go to the league, you're gonna do that. And also, if you're good enough to make the money, without playing the sport, they're gonna do that too. So it's one of those things where, like, they gotta be careful how they thread the line and thread the needle with that.
Yeah, I just listen. Obviously, there needs to be rules with NILs because it's getting a little crazy. The NIL shit's getting a little nuts. Crazy, yeah. So there should be a rule behind it. But I'm also like, it's been like this for 50 years. NCAA's been making money off the blood and sweat and tears of these players. It's their turn to make the money. So if a guy wants to negotiate an NIL to go to a school as an 18-year-old, I'm fine with that. Do you. Get it done. Now, when you start having, you start seeing more, agents kind of undercover come in and go, oh, I got this NIL deal from this. That's when it gets a little weird. That's when it becomes more of like a business type thing. But the players are like, hey, Wendy's called me and said they offered me $10,000 for a whole year just to do some commercials and eat some Wendy burgers. That's fine. Forget it.
That's fine. I might jump on that too.
Not yeah. I mean, maybe for not In-N-Out, for what's that burger? Shake Shack. Shake Shack. I'll take the NIL in a heartbeat. Yeah, Wendy's. There's a Wendy's near me that's shitty, so I don't like that. I don't like Wendy's because they made it bad for me at this point. They turned me off completely to Wendy's because they suck over here. Real quick, I want to talk wrestling because we haven't talked about it in a while. Bruce put this in the chat. AEW is dead. Momentum is lost. Do you believe what Bruce is saying?
I don't know if it's dead, but it's definitely momentum has been
believe it, even though
momentum has been lost. Right now. It's not dead. Momentum has been lost. I haven't checked out the video game yet. I haven't heard great things about it, but I think what they need is a little restructuring with the roster. They'll be fine after that, and they need to hammer out the whole CM Punk internal beef with the elite and all that foolishness. Like, that needs to be hammered out.
Yeah, I've been working Wednesday night, so I've been able to DVR them, but then I don't watch them completely. I still order other pay-per-views. I will say I've bought every single AEW pay-per-view since they started.
Pay-per-views are fine. Pay-per-views are fine. It's everything up to the pay-per-view that needs help.
Yeah, it's the weeklies get a little crazy. Collision's been good, but it's not really a brand split. But these guys are gonna be on Saturdays and these guys are gonna be only on Wednesdays, and that's really it.
Right.
I got the game. It's fun. From what I'm hearing online, I haven't started the career mode yet. Career mode is like 2 hours. You can knock it out in like 2.5 hours, which is the issue. Yeah. But what I do like is it's not going to be an annual release. So I actually downloaded it onto my PlayStation 5, and they're just going to add shit to it all the time. So it's going to be this kind of
like the UFC game. Okay. I like things like that.
So I like that. So I think they're going to add more stuff to it as they go. And you're going to see more things added, more wrestlers added, stuff like that. That's why I got the digital. Because I'm like, if I have to buy this next year, I'm not going to get it. However, I do have WWE here, and I don't know what to do with it. Because I feel I got to pick a side.
Go where your heart's at.
I don't know. But I will say, if you get the game, the exploding barbed wire match it's amazing. And the amount of blood that ends up on the canvas is hilarious. It's great to play it. And the ring blows up at the end, which is great. So the explosion we should have got with Kenny Omega, Moxley, you get So
got it.
I enjoy it. Jay, as always, great show, bro.
Likewise.
Great show. So we'll be back. Well, let's say Sunday. I gotta check my work schedule because work is interfering in a lot of stuff. So we'll check that out and get back to you on Twitter. He's at Busy J. I'm at Kahlil and Thomas. One Podcast Network. We got a Patrice O'Neal episode up. So if you go to our YouTube channel, that's the first non-box out thing you're going to see. Me and Tom, we talk about Patrice O'Neal for over an hour. His career, if he would have got as big as we think he would have gotten if he stayed alive, and what made him funny. So that's up there now. More stuff will be trickling in onto the YouTube channel as we go. So the One Podcast Network, that's up right now. Check that out. All right. Bruce, I hate you. Go Aces. You suck. For Jason, I'm Kahlil. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next show. See you guys.
Peace. Peace.